This really was kind of a trip to say goodbye. The Akikiki is down to, at most, a handful of individuals, maybe even fewer. And so we just wanted to really see the last ones, say goodbye to them. What do you do at the end of a species? What do you do when like the last wild individuals are there? They don't take any solace from us coming to visit. It was much more about us just wanting to be able to say goodbye and to be around them one last time.
Yes, my first Akikiki was carrot. That's all
Okay.
I got at
Nice.
G Bowl or whatever you call it.
Nice, yeah.
I thought I was following an Ani calling, and then I just was under it, and it was like this high.
Funny how much harder this is to talk about than I actually thought it was going to be, just in some ways of even just recapturing the emotions that we felt. Yeah, we've known these birds, kind of, the group of us who had been up there, I think I've known these birds for kind of like 2 years, or in my case, I think it was like the 10th breeding season that I had been up in the Alakai.
Yeah, and my guess is they'll be getting there
Around then.
around then.
I feel like the question of the extinction of Akikiki has two layers, because we know that they're already functionally extinct. We know that there's not a self-sustaining population. There's 1-2 females tops out there in the areas we know of, and of course there's a couple areas we don't know of, but there will be 1 or 2 tops in those areas too. And so there's no way that the wild population of Akikiki can sustain itself at this time, and we really have to rely on the captive population at San Diego Zoo Wildlife Alliance for the viable future of Akikiki. But the other layer to that question is the spiritual connection to Akikiki is still represented by even one bird being out there in the wild. And that's enormously important to my staff, and I think it's enormously important to the public and to the cultural practitioners who look to this, especially this one bird, Pakele, who represents all the hope we have for all of the Akikiki in the wild, because she just keeps going. I mean, hopefully she'll find a mate, and hopefully there's another couple of Akikiki out there that will find a mate. And even though they cannot sustain the population in and of themselves, they can sustain our hope. And that is just really critical at this juncture. That is the tragedy, right? Is that we are seeing this climate disaster. So I apologize for what we have done as a human people for that. But I think I want the Akikiki to know that we have really appreciated getting to know them. Were it not for this crisis, I don't think people would have got to know Akikiki as well as we have, and come to love them as well as we have. And given the science at the time, given what we knew about the population trends, and given what we knew we could not do to control the mosquito situation back in 2015 when we started collecting their eggs and everything else, we did the best we could. And we really have, I have, and Justin has, and the wildlife managers at DOFA and Fish and Wildlife Service, and all of the people that have worked at Kauai Forest Birds, and all the people who work for San Diego Zoo Wildlife Alliance, we have done the best we can given what we know and the tools at our disposal.
Now therefore I, Derek S.K. Kaukami, Mayor, County of Kauai, do hereby proclaim 2024 as Makahiki o Namanu Nahele, the Year of the Forest Birds, and we call upon all in our community to learn more about Hawaii's native birds and what can be done to help prevent extinction.
And unfortunately, the hopeful solution, the incompatible insect technique that will hopefully reduce our mosquito populations, came a little bit too late for the Akikiki in the wild.
They're not just a species or just kind of a group of birds. Like, we really do know them as individuals. Like, they're so great at staying on a territory normally. So when you go into one area, it's those birds that you see. You go a couple hundred yards to the north, it's a different group of birds.
We've been watching them like go extinct. Like, it's been a slow motion car crash, and so we've had to watch, like, everybody has had to watch them disappear and had to deal with it.
One of the birds we were really going there to see was Pakele, and she's an individual that we've known since 2020.
I think the crazy thing about Pakele is, like, she is almost certainly just has malaria. She's like, well, it doesn't affect you the same.
And she's kind of just one of the last ones that's out there now that we know of. I think there was at least 3 individuals that were still around at the beginning of this year. 2 of them haven't been seen in a while, and Pakele, I think, was last seen in early May, up until a few days after our trip. And she is she's kind of just this incredible individual. We met her in 2020, and she was exceptional from the start. Later began calling her Pakele, which means to escape in Hawaiian. And that was even really before we kind of understood what was special about her, and that she was going to just continue to escape kind of all of the loss, like all of the dying that was happening around her. Like, she just kind of, at every step of the way, the other birds were disappearing, and she just would continue to not disappear and would continue to breed.
I think that I want us to understand that we're all in this together. The fate of all these species is collectively the responsibility of humans everywhere in this world, and we each can take these birds belong to all of us. Even if you've never seen an Akikiki before, there are school children in India that were inspired by the stories we tell to name an asteroid after Akikiki. I mean, these birds belong to all of us, and their future is in all of our hands, because it is our actions that lead to the situation that the planet is in and can change the fate of the planet. So I want everyone to just champion the environment wherever they are.